every time we do one of these, we leave town and there's a group of people that, that were there, and they talk about the buzz. They talk about projects that started happening, conversations with banks or whatever, a lot of positive momentum. And then there's always a group of people that are like, man, I thought about going, and I wish I would have gone, but they didn't.
Yeah, and the best people to come, it's got to be your realtors, your builders, your chamber members, community activists, people that, a lot of times people in the tech business, artists. In our 12, we have a 12 steps to small development program going here in Dallas. We can show you how you can keep that going after we leave. That some of the best people that I'm seeing come up right now are artists who want to own buildings and own real estate. And so they put their art, bankers, politicians, of course, staff people, planners, everybody's a possibility, because everybody's typically usually thought about this. So if it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a whole community to build a building. Mm-hmm. So we all either play the part of the developer or play some part in the way we want our city to look.
Get the people.
Let's say this, especially with people with business and with properties and things like that. Look, do you want to make more money? Do you want your town? Do you want the out of town developers to come to town and do all the work and get all the money from this town, or do you want it? Are you interested in building your town and building wealth? Are you interested in that? If you are, you need to come. Okay, and if you don't like it, come and then leave. If you don't like it in the first few minutes that you're there, and so if you've got somebody, you've got the old crotchety, old whoever, we had them in Killeen just recently. Kevin and I was there, and some of the oldest, crotchetiest ones are now some of our best, because they saw that what we were really doing was trying to help them, and they had money. This old crotchety one guy, he had money, but he wanted more. He wanted an idea. He wanted a practical solution. He didn't want some idealistic solution because people don't want to go hear anybody else talk to them anymore. They want a practical, real solution about building wealth for this community. So either you come and build the wealth for your community, and these guys say, they promise it. I'm promising you this, Colleen. I promise it, that we will show them how they can build more wealth, how they'll build more wealth in their community. And we're not selling them anything. We're not selling them a book. We're not selling them something, we're selling them good common sense in how to put these deals together. So the people that are business people that own land, people that have money, those are the people that ought to be here. And then the people from the city, of course, that have to create this policy and execute these plans in the engineering part. We're going to show you proven case studies. We're practitioners. Okay. This is not about, some, unicorns and, rainbows in the sky. We can do. This is about real stuff that works with average financing, works with real people in real towns and real neighborhoods. All of these principles are sound. And we have proven case studies that we'll be showing you. Everything from hotels to theaters, restaurants, single family homes, 2 units connected to a retail building, 4plexes, incubators, retail and office incubators in an old shopping center, a collaboration village in an old manufacturing operation. How you turn an old automotive building or a gas station into some kind of cool studios that could be several different uses, could be owned by one of your entrepreneurs and have a couple of lease spaces to rent out. So you name it, we've got some kind of experience in it probably.
Yeah, I'll start, and then Monty, you can build on this. But Monty and I have done a number of these workshops in some different places, and our approach is very much hands-on, boots on the ground, bottom-up, citizen-led implementation, if you will. There's a lot of plans out there that talk about big pictures and big ideas, and our communities don't have the resources to execute them. When we talk about, I like to talk about cultivating fiscal health for a city and local wealth for the residents and the businesses. And the way that we focus on doing that is through small development, working with local partners to build smaller commercial and residential units that are more affordable, that also fit more of the local character of a community. And that's not to say that you abandon some of the conventional approach to development or economic development in terms of trying to attract some businesses to your community. But at the end of the day, if you don't have a good, strong downtown, don't have a good, strong local business environment, you don't really have that place or that identity that's going to keep people in your community long term. So we plan to come in, talk with the folks there, look at specific properties, look at specific buildings, and talk about some of the different potential things that are needed in some of the different areas. We're going to focus mostly on the downtowns, but not rule out other areas of either community that might be kind of low-hanging fruit opportunities for us. But a lot of what my role is just talking about the general concepts of why this is important to fiscal health and cultivating wealth in your community, placemaking, identity, some of those things. If needed, I can put my engineer hat on and talk about street sections and some of that too. But I'll talk about the big picture framework for how this works. And then Monty comes behind me with being able to just explain the small development.
I always like doing this work with Kevin because he's the technician, the engineer, the planner on that side, and then I'm the practitioner. So I'm the guy that puts the buildings on top of what Kevin plans and engineers and builds. And so I come from Southern Dallas County in Dallas, Texas. And although Dallas, Texas is a very wealthy city in the north, in the southern half of Dallas, it's a very, it's mixed racially, and it's a very poor. We've got some of the highest child poverty in the nation. We've got lots of problems. And so I come from that side. So I've spent over 30 years working in my communities, only in my communities, building and developing neighborhoods and parts of the town. And what I found early on in the early days was I found that no one was going to come and help, was going to save us. Mm-hmm. And then if somebody did come, they were going to do something to us, for their own financial benefit. They were not doing anything that was going to gain us any wealth for the locals, or really build anything scaled that created boutique or cool restaurants or cool businesses or cool homes or any of that kind of stuff. They were going to come do tract homes and cheap apartments and crappy franchises on the freeway. And so we had to learn, I didn't grow up in the part of Dallas, in the Highland part of Dallas, or go to SMU where you got the secret handshake to get money. So out of pure desperation, I started to learn how to get things built that were just missing in my neighborhood. Basic things like a coffee shop, like a snow cone stand, like a decent loft apartment for my kids or myself to live in, like, a boutique, maybe a small chef-owned steakhouse, like all of those kinds of things. And how do you start to do that? And so for over 30 years, I've been the practitioner doing this work. Now, back in 2015, started teaching, made a decision to get involved with some other guys to create 1,000 small developers like myself around the country. And we started doing boot camps and workshops and things, and teaching people in their own cities, like South Bend, Indiana, like Killeen, Texas, like South Tucson, like Buffalo, like Atlanta, in the tougher parts, Kansas City, and places like that, where they could learn how to do this themselves. Many of our developers, like our small developers in South Bend, Indiana, are Black females. And so we found that women tend to cultivate and nurture better. Men tend to conquer. And so we found, and that's nothing's ever absolute, right? I mean, but we found that regular average people who cared about their community, knowing the incremental process, could learn to do this themselves. So like a realtor who's already out there, or like a builder or a carpenter who's already building. If we could it's easier to teach a carpenter to be a businessman, okay, or businesswoman, because a lot of carpenters I know these days are women, and welders too, but it's easier to teach somebody that's with a trade to be a business person than it is a business person to be a carpenter. So we found that we could really create some real craftsmen type people that could build their cities, and that they could start off doing it, one house at a time, one block at a time, one Main Street building with 2 little apartments above it. So it didn't have to be a big apartment developer come to town and get a whole lot of, tax abatement and grants and incentives like this. In the case of this, is you create the environment where people like this can thrive, and you teach them about financing and how to put together projects. So when we come before we leave your town, when we come next week, we expect to have somebody doing a deal. Okay, this is not where we plan for a year or two and get out there. We come with the intention of seeking somebody in your community that owns land or a building, or has the money or has an idea that we can help, facilitate, because we can't come and repair your town and fix your town. You're the best for that. You, the locals, are better for that. But we can come and share our experiences and show you the things that we know from working all over the country, and help you do it yourself. It's kind of like the do it yourself.
Can I ask what is the, on the 19th, it's from 9 to 3, and then at night it's at 6, right? There's another meeting. Someone asked me, what is the difference in the 19th, the 20th, and the night of the 19th?
I would say the anybody who can come during the day, we would like them to be there. That's really where more of the presentations and more of the interactions and discussions are going to happen. The evening meeting is, for those people that work during the day, they're still interested in the concepts. They're still interested in contributing some ideas. The evening meeting is a chance for those folks to see a quick kind of overview presentation from Monty and I. And then have a little bit of opportunity after that to interact and say, hey, I own this building, or I have this idea, so that at least we're aware of those people and those ideas, that they can be part of the conversation on day 2. Day 2 tends to be more deal specific, to use Monty's term of like, the first day we're talking about these concepts, we're talking with different folks, getting ideas for different buildings or different, groups of people we want to try to organize together. The second day starts to look at, we have this building in this location, or we have this vacant lot, or we have this block of street. And we really start to build that plan. I can do my part of organizing which ones kind of go where, or what does the street need to look like? What kind of programming needs to happen? And Monty can do his back of the napkin pro formas for here's what this building might look like and what you could expect to rent it for. Here's what you would need for the down payment. And if we've got Mr. Dufresne there from the bank, we can run some of those by him and say, does this, and start to get a feel for what his perspective is from the bank side. So day 1 is a little bit of education and just kind of exploring ideas. That evening is, to a quick kind of overview of everything that happened in day 1, but to really get the ideas and input from people who couldn't make it during the day. And then day 2 is getting into more details about putting some of those deals together. And then the last part of day 2, I think from, basically from lunch to 3 is when we're going to get back with
What page?
the city leaders and work on that more defined action plan, Monica, that you were looking for. So we can kind of give some steps of here's what the city's going to do, here's what St. Mary Excel is going to do, and here's what some individual developers or builders or just individuals are gonna do.
Kevin, so the evening meeting is more of a formal presentation by Kevin and I. So they would be like your bigger group, like your people that are just on the fence that don't want to come, and people that don't really think it's much. They come in for that evening presentation. The daytime presentations are more of the, they don't have to come all day, right, Kevin? They're not really needing to come all day. They come and they visit with us. We talk about their, staff. I'm not sure what you're doing with city staff and things, but people don't want to come and stay all day. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and a lot
I
of
think
them
if they're able to, it's great. But yeah, I think there's, that morning on the first day of just kind of the presentations to catch everybody. And then, from there, we usually, everyone's a little different with how it starts to break out. But yeah, we'll get a sense for who's going to stay there all day, who wants to just talk about their site and go, and then come back the following day. Or we're pretty flexible with how those kind of follow-up conversations.